If my work hangs in a museum long enough, it becomes real. Elmer D'Ori. Let me see. 1946 to 1968. In context, location, Europe and North and South America. Theme, art forgery. Before, 1932 to 1945. Dutch portraitist Han van Meegeren forges hundreds of paintings by famous authors, duping buyers out of more than $30 million. After, 1978 to 88. British art forger Eric Heaven sells hundreds of paintings, drawings, and sculptures. He later writes the Art Forger's Handbook, published shortly before his death in 1996. 1981 to 94. Dutch painter and art forger Geert van Janssen produces more than 1,600 forged artworks. Elmer D'Ori's legendary 23-year career as an art forger began one afternoon in April 1946 when his wealthy friend Lady Malcolm Campbell, the widow of racing driver Sir Malcolm Campbell, visited his small art studio in Paris. Among D'Ori's post-impressionist paintings, Campbell noticed an unsigned, unframed abstract drawing of a young girl. Incorrectly identifying it as a work by Pablo Picasso, she asked if Ori would sell it, and for $100, more than $12.10 today, he agreed. At the time of the sale of this fake Picasso, D'Ori was a 40-year-old classically trained artist who had found limited success selling nondescript paintings and portraits. He had traveled to Paris hoping to gain fame and fortune. There, however, he found that his post-impressionist style was regarded as passé compared to the fashionable abstract expressionistic paintings then in vogue. Following the unexpected sale of the bogus Picasso drawing, D'Ori produced other Picassos and began to target art galleries. He claimed to be a Hungarian aristocrat displaced in the post-war diaspora, offering what remained from his family's art collection. D'Ori's next victim, a gallery owner, bought 3 Picasso quote-unquote drawings for $3,940. Partner in crime. Soon, D'Ori joined forces with a man named Jacques Chamberlain, who became his art dealer, accomplice, and close friend. Together, the pair traveled all over Europe selling the forgeries. Although they were supposed to share the profits equally, Chamberlain kept most of the money. When D'Ori discovered his deception, he ended the partnership. Briefly locating to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, D'Ori lived off the side sales of his fakes and also began painting his own works again. However, the paintings he created in his own style did not bring in the kind of money that he had become used to from selling forgeries. In August 1947, D'Ori moved to the United States and used his turn to ingratiate himself with members of the American art world. Suddenly, he had the opportunity to sell his forgeries to hundreds of galleries. He also expanded his repertoire to include works by Matisse, Modigliani, and Renoir. Who would prefer a bad original to a good fake? Elmer D'Ori. Safety first. D'Ori took precautions to avoid the attention of the police. He remained discreet about his real profession and provided plausible reasons why he was selling art at discounted prices to art collectors and dealers. He was also careful never to sell his fakes to the general public, only to art insiders. However, in 1955, one of D'Ori's forgeries was exposed by art dealer Joseph Faulkner, who reported him to the FBI. Fearful of arrest, D'Ori fled to Mexico. He was soon arrested, not for fraud, however, but as a murder suspect after an Englishman was found dead. D'Ori spent the majority of his money paying off the police. Dark days. D'Ori returned to the U.S. later that year, lying low in L.A. and trying to sell his own work, but he soon moved to New York. When no one was interested in his art, he sank into depression, and in 1959, at age 52, he attempted suicide. A new friend, Ferdinand Legros, who had attended D'Ori's housewarming party in New York, drove D'Ori to Florida to recuperate. The pair soon ran out of money, and D'Ori produced 3 lithographs and sent Legros out in one of D'Ori's old suits to try and sell them. This proved to be a successful arrangement. Legros soon persuaded D'Ori to hire him as his art dealer for 40% commission on each sale, and so began a partnership that would last for 8 years. D'Ori and Legros moved to Ibiza, an autonomous territory of Spain, where they settled down in a beautiful house overlooking the Mediterranean. From Ibiza, they sold forged art to dealers around the world. Doubts resurface. In 1964, the quality of D'Ori's forgeries began to deteriorate. Art dealers and experts became suspicious, and several gallery owners who had purchased D'Ori's paintings alerted Interpol and the FBI. By 1967, as more of D'Ori's paintings were exposed as fakes, his forgery career came to an abrupt end. Lego sold 46 of D'Ori's bogus masterpieces to Texas oil tycoon Oliver Meadows between 1964 and 1966. After discovering that the paintings were forgeries, Meadows contacted the police. An international warrant was posted for Allegro's arrest. He was detained in Switzerland. D'Ori went on the run, but returned to Ibiza in November 1967, in the belief that he was safe there. Lasting legacy. However, the Spanish authorities began to investigate D'Ori and charge him with a number of crimes, including homosexuality. He was imprisoned in Ibiza between August and October 1968, although he was treated well and was permitted to have books, a desk chair, and wear his own clothes, among various other comforts. On his release from prison, D'Ori was expelled from the island for a period of 1 year. D'Ori moved to Portugal, but eventually returned to Ibiza. Meanwhile, the French police built a case against him and intended to extradite him for dealing in fake art. Aware that the extradition was imminent, on December 11, 1976, D'Ori took his own life with an overdose of sleeping pills. The same year, Lagos was extradited from France to France from Brazil, where he was hiding after failing to honor the conditions of a suspended sentence in Switzerland. In France, Lagos was charged with forgery and fraud for defrauding Meadows. He was imprisoned for 2 years and died a pauper in 1983. D'Ori is renowned as history's greatest art forger, creating more than 1,000 works during his career. His remarkable story caught both the attention of author Clifford Irving, who wrote the successful biography Fake 1969, and Orson Welles, who made the documentary Ever Fake 1973 about his life and work. There are some art experts who believe that many of D'Ori's forgeries have not yet been discovered and still hang in galleries around the world. Identifying forgeries. The most common method of verifying art is through the documented history of the artwork's ownership. This can be forged, however, so art experts also deploy a range of other techniques. An art historian may be called upon to assess the overall style and brushwork to see if they match the artist and time period. The colors in the painting are also analyzed, since not all paint colors have been available throughout history. This technique was famously used to expose a 17th century painting by Frans Hals as a fake, because it revealed that the color was painted with zinc oxide, which was not available until 1728. Scientists examined the surface the work is painted on to check if it has been artificially aged. Ultraviolet light and optical microscopes are used to determine if the fine cracks that naturally appear over time are genuine. A technique called X-ray diffraction can detect whether a canvas has been used multiple times to soften the hallmark of a genuine master artist.